What if the key to reviving your body's vitality isn't a pill or miracle cure, but something you see every day in your kitchen? Martin, 67, lives in a quiet town in Oregon. Retired after over 30 years in the power industry, he once thought aging means accepting fatigue, sleeplessness, and no longer caring about intimacy. Each morning, he woke not with energy, but because of the alarm clock or sunlight hitting his eyes. His body felt heavy, his mind foggy, and life's joy was like a faint light at the end of a long road. Breakfast was just a cold slice of toast and a strong coffee, not because he liked it, but because he'd lost interest in everything. No desire to tend the garden, no urge to hold his wife's hand for an evening walk like they used to. At night, he'd toss and turn for hours, sometimes getting up 3 or 4 times to use the bathroom, then wake up groggy, with sunken eyes as if he hadn't slept in days. I thought I was truly old. Nothing left to hope for, he once believed. But everything began to change at a routine checkup. After hearing about his fatigue and lack of vitality, the doctor asked a simple question. "How much water do you drink each day?" Martin froze. No one had ever asked him that. "Ah, I drink coffee in the morning, and maybe a few sips with my pills," he replied, not thinking it was a big deal. But the doctor smiled and said, gently yet seriously, "Coffee isn't water, sir. It actually pulls water out of your body. You're living in a state of chronic dehydration without even knowing it." Seeing Martin's puzzled look, the doctor explained, "Coffee has caffeine, a mild diuretic, meaning it makes you urinate more. If you're only drinking coffee and not enough plain water, your body slowly becomes dehydrated in a sneaky way. You don't feel thirsty, but your cells are quietly parched. Over time, this affects your skin, joints, memory, and even your heart." The doctor leaned forward, as if to emphasize something crucial. "You don't need to ditch coffee, but try adding a glass of water in the morning before or after your coffee. Then a few more throughout the day. In just a few weeks, you'll feel your body lighten up, become alert, and truly feel watered back to life." Martin nodded quietly. For the first time in years, he realized his fatigue, dry skin, occasional dizziness, and restless sleep might not be due to age. They could be because he was dehydrated. Those words were like a gentle slap, waking him from a long slumber of neglecting his own body. Back home, Martin opened the fridge, poured a glass of water, something he rarely did, and started researching. He learned that after age 60, the sensation of thirst weakens, but the body's need for water doesn't. "I thought I was weakening because of age, but really my body was drying out cell by cell, crying for help every day." From that moment, he began a journey, not chasing expensive miracle drugs, but relearning how to drink water, a seemingly simple act he'd overlooked for years. He kept a water bottle by his bedside. Each morning, he started with a glass of warm water instead of coffee. And within days, something in him began to stir. Martin's story isn't rare. Many people over 60 live with silent dehydration, leading to declines in energy, memory, immunity, and even intimacy. But the good news is, just one sip of water can start waking your body back up. Dear reader, as you read this, ask yourself, when was the last time you drank a glass of plain water? Share in the comments below. Maybe, like Martin, you don't need a miracle. You just need to return to the most basic thing your body always needs: water. As Martin dug deeper, he discovered something startling. His body was thirsty, not just wanting a drink, thirsty, but dehydrated at a cellular level. The doctor told him, "At your age, the thirst signal isn't as sharp as it used to be. Instead of saying, 'I'm thirsty,' your body quietly sacrifices non-essential functions to save water for your heart, liver, and brain. And the first thing sacrificed is blood flow to the genitals." Hearing that, Martin gave an awkward laugh. "I thought I was just too old, done for." But turns out, my body was prioritizing survival, and intimacy was the first to go. Dehydration directly impacts blood circulation, which carries oxygen and nutrients to every organ. When blood flow is poor, the pelvic region doesn't get enough to function fully. That's why many older men notice weaker morning erections or struggle with responsiveness. It's not about losing manhood. The blood just isn't getting there in time. Beyond that, hormones like testosterone in men and estrogen in women need a hydrated environment in the blood to be produced and transported effectively. When dehydrated, the body is like a machine low on oil, sluggish, creaky, lacking passion and vitality. An expert at Johns Hopkins once put it this way: your body is a garden. Without water, flowers won't bloom, trees won't sprout. And intimacy at any age needs proper watering to flourish. Martin realized what he thought was inevitable decline was actually his body's silent cry for help, because he'd neglected its most basic need for years. And as he shared with sparkling eyes after 3 weeks of changing his habits, "I don't feel like I'm fading anymore. I feel alive again. Not because of pills, but because I learned that just by caring for the flow within me, everything can come back." A 67-year-old man who for years thought he'd given up on passion and closeness needed only one small act: drinking enough water. And from there, things he thought were gone forever began to return. After a few weeks of consistent water intake, Martin realized the benefits weren't just about how much water, but when he drank it. Drinking at the right time, he said, is like playing music on beat. It makes everything run smoother. Each morning, right after waking, he'd step out of bed and pour a glass of room temperature or slightly warm water, especially on cold days. This simple habit had a profound impact on his overall health. Why is that morning glass so critical? During 6 to 8 hours of sleep, the body gets no water. Organs keep working to restore energy, detox, and repair. When you wake, your body is dry and needs a gentle restart. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that losing just 1 to 2% of body water can impair cognition, short-term memory, and hormone regulation. And it's not just that. A morning glass of water cleanses the liver and kidneys and jumpstarts the cardiovascular system. Blood vessels gently dilate, boosting flow to the entire body, especially the pelvic region, which needs strong circulation to function normally. For men, this can lead to stronger, more consistent morning erections, a sign of healthy hormones and blood vessels. For women, adequate blood flow to the pelvic organs increases sensitivity, natural lubrication, and pleasure. After a while, Martin not only felt more alert starting the day, but he began reconnecting with emotions he thought were long gone. He also started drinking a glass of water about 30 minutes before meals, something he'd never considered before. According to nutrition experts at Harvard-T.H. Chan School of Public Health, drinking water before eating activates the digestive system, signaling the stomach to produce acid and enzymes, better preparing it to absorb nutrients. And here's the kicker: nutrients critical for sexual health, like zinc, vitamin B6, iron, and protein, need a healthy digestive system to be absorbed fully. Zinc, for instance, is vital for testosterone production, the hormone key to libido, erectile function, and physical energy in men. In women, vitamin B6 and iron support stable hormone cycles and enhance sensitivity in reproductive tissues. By drinking water at the right time, before meals instead of after a full stomach, Martin's body maximized nutrient absorption, rather than letting them go to waste or be poorly utilized. In the afternoons, while gardening or walking around the neighborhood, Martin always carried a small water bottle. "I don't wait to feel thirsty," he shared, "because if I'm thirsty, my body's already dehydrated." This isn't just a hunch. According to the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, thirst often comes late, especially in older adults, and by the time you feel it, your body may have lost over 2% of its water weight. Sipping water during activity lubricates joints, reduces inflammation, and keeps blood thin and flowing steadily, crucial for reaching the tiny capillaries in the pelvic region. However, Martin once made a mistake, chugging water in the evening to make up for forgetting during the day. The result? Waking up multiple times at night to use the bathroom, disrupting his sleep. sometimes unable to return to deep sleep. This seriously impacted hormone production. During REM sleep, often in the latter half of the night, the body produces most of the next day's testosterone. Interrupting deep sleep cuts off this process, reducing libido, increasing fatigue, and slowing overall recovery. So Martin adjusted. After 7 p.m., he tapered off water intake, sipping only if needed. The result? Deeper, uninterrupted sleep, a refreshed mind, and brighter mornings in more ways than one. A glass of water at the right time, before a meal, after waking, or during a walk, seems trivial. But for Martin, it was a signal to his body. I'm listening to you, I'm caring for you. And when the body is cared for properly, it responds not just with health, but with emotions, vivid feelings that seemed long asleep. As Martin reshaped his health, he realized drinking water at the right time wasn't enough. There were things he consumed daily, unaware they were draining water from his body. One morning, reading on his porch, he glanced at the coffee cup in his hand, his loyal companion for over 40 years. It was his partner through workdays, a comfort on winter mornings, an almost sacred ritual. But after reading a Mayo Clinic report, he was stunned. Caffeine in coffee and strong tea is a diuretic, causing the body to excrete more water than usual. When this happens regularly, especially in older adults with naturally declining kidney function, the body slips into chronic dehydration without any thirst cues. It didn't stop there. The doctor explained that alcohol, even just one beer a night to relax, was a silent culprit in severe dehydration. Alcohol not only acts as a diuretic but disrupts hormones that regulate water balance. A study from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism shows that even small amounts of alcohol can impair vasopressin production, the hormone that helps the body retain water. Martin recalled weekend afternoons when he'd treat himself to a cold beer on the porch, thinking, just one for relaxation. But what he didn't notice was that afterward, he'd feel parched, sleep poorly, and wake up more tired than usual. And what about soda? Occasionally, he'd buy a few cans of sugary soda for when his grandkids visited. But he didn't know these drinks, loaded with sugar, spike insulin, overworking the kidneys and liver to balance electrolytes and blood sugar. Worse, the American Heart Association warns that sugary sodas increase osmotic pressure in the blood, forcing the body to borrow water from cells to dilute the sugar, leading to intracellular dehydration, critical for metabolic reactions and hormone production. After learning this, Martin didn't feel deprived. Instead, he began replacing old habits with lighter, fresher, healthier choices. Instead of strong coffee, he started mornings with warm lemon water, cleansing the liver and providing vitamin C to boost immunity. Instead of afternoon beers, he switched to pure coconut water, rich in natural electrolytes like potassium and magnesium, helping cells retain water and supporting circulation. And instead of black tea at night, he chose caffeine-free herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint, relaxing his nerves without diuretic effects, ensuring deep, unbroken sleep. At first, he worried these changes would make life bland, but they didn't. Instead, he found the natural sweetness of coconut water refreshing each afternoon. The gentle aroma of chamomile tea helped him sleep better. And warm lemon water in the morning wasn't just healthy, it made him feel cared for, like he was greeting himself kindly each day. Small, quiet, but profound changes. Martin realized it wasn't that my body was weak, I was unknowingly dehydrating it with things I thought were harmless. When I changed that, my body responded faster than I expected. You don't have to give up everything you love, but you can choose better versions for yourself, like Martin did. After about 30 days of sticking to his new water habits, Martin began feeling shifts, not loud or dramatic like a drug ad, but quiet, deep, and undeniably real. The first change, and perhaps the most surprising, came that night. Before, he'd wake 2 to 3 times to use the bathroom. Just as he'd drift off, he'd stumble up, fragmenting his sleep into broken pieces. In the morning, even after 7 hours, he felt like he'd barely rested. His head was heavy, shoulders stiff, mood irritable for no reason. But after adjusting when he drank water, especially cutting back after 7 p.m., the issue faded. Uninterrupted nights returned, first one, then two, then three, becoming a new norm. What I didn't expect, he shared, was that I started dreaming again. Vivid dreams with colors, stories, emotions. I'd forgotten that feeling for so long, maybe 5, 6 years. No, maybe more. For Martin, dreaming wasn't just about sleeping well, it was a sign his brain was reaching deep, restorative sleep, repairing and recharging as it should. Experts at the National Sleep Foundation note that REM sleep, when dreams occur, is when testosterone production peaks, supporting both mental and physical health. And it proved true. Within a month, Martin felt stronger each morning, no longer dragging himself out of bed. But more importantly, a different feeling emerged, vibrant and alive. He chuckled as he recalled. One morning, I looked at my wife and it hit me. Not some wild urge like in my 20s, but a strange warmth, a zest for life returning. I felt alive, truly alive. And his wife, who'd quietly worried about his health, noticed. She watched him in the kitchen, brewing tea, lightly swaying to an old song on the radio, and said, half joking, half serious, I don't know what medicine you're on, but don't stop. It wasn't medicine, not pricey supplements, not hormone therapy, just water, and drinking it at the right times. With better blood flow, renewed hormones, and proper sleep, everything began to shift. Martin rediscovered joy in small things that once sparked happiness. Tending the garden, dusting off his old car, opening books he'd lacked focus to read. And intimacy, the thing he'd shelved in memory, became something sweet to look forward to. No longer a duty or faint echo of youth, but a joyful, gentle act of connection. These changes didn't happen overnight. But in just 1 month, with seemingly trivial acts like adding a morning glass of water or skipping an evening beer, Martin's body proved it could still regenerate, and his heart still held a deep desire to live, love, and connect. After 30 days, Martin no longer saw water as just something to quench thirst. To him, it became a symbol of returning, of making peace with his body. Before, he tried tackling aging's problems with multivitamins, supplements, even male enhancement ads with tempting promises. But those patched the surface while the root, neglecting the most basic need, went ignored. My body had been signaling for years, he said. Fatigue, insomnia, loss of interest. But I didn't listen. I thought it was age. Turns out, it was just wilting from lack of water. Drinking water regularly, seemingly trivial, unlocked a cascade of unexpected changes. His mood stabilized. Before, he'd snap over small things, like a TV remote not working or his son's car parked a few inches off in the driveway. Now, he smiled more easily, not because the world changed, but because he felt lighter inside. A University of Connecticut study found that just 1.5% dehydration can trigger mild anxiety, reduced focus, and increased fatigue. Martin didn't know this when he started, but he felt it clearly once his body was properly hydrated. Clearer thoughts, deeper sleep, and petty annoyances no longer clung to him. He recalled laughing one afternoon while reading on the porch, glancing at the water bottle beside him. I realized each sip was an apology to the body I'd neglected too long. I treated it like a machine that just had to work, forgetting it needed love too. From then on, he carried a small water bottle everywhere. To the store, the garden, even watching TV. Not to chug endlessly, but to remind himself. His body needs care every hour, every day, not just when sick. Instead of guzzling water to catch up when parched, he learned to sip slowly, like a gentle conversation with himself. No rush, no forcing, just caring for myself with kindness, he said. And the best part, others noticed the change. His daughter, who often worried about his health, said, I don't know what you're eating or drinking, Dad, but you're happier, talking more. It's like there's a light in your eyes. It wasn't light from outside. It was a new flow within, a flow of awakening, of returning to self-love from the smallest act. We often chase answers in costly treatments, strong prescriptions, or breakthrough advice from far-off experts. But sometimes, the real turning point starts with something surprisingly small, like pouring a glass of water and drinking it with gratitude for your own body. When this quiet but profound journey reached its first milestone, Martin sat again on his old wooden porch chair, where he'd once slouched, tired, with vacant eyes and the silence of a man who'd lost faith in himself. But now he sat with a calm smile and a vitality that seemed newly awakened. He hadn't used any magic. No special drugs, no famous doctors, no pricey recovery centers. All he did was listen to his body with a kindness he'd never shown it before and respond with the simplest thing anyone can do: drink enough water. And then the miracle began to unfold. "I'm 67, he said, and I just rediscovered how I felt at 37. Not because I got younger, but because I stopped treating my body poorly. I learned to love myself, not with money, but with water." He said this not as a salesman, not to pitch anything, but as if whispering to you, the reader quietly wondering, can I still revive my life of love and connection? The answer is yes. And sometimes it starts not with medicine, but with water. Water makes up over 60% of your body. It's the fuel for every physiological function. When you don't drink enough, blood flow slows, including to the penis. Dehydration reduces tissue elasticity, making erections less reliable and sexual function erratic. Water also supports testosterone production, keeps cells functioning well, and sharpens mental clarity, all essential for naturally sparking desire. Simply put, your body needs water to flow, and so does intimacy. All it takes is pouring a glass and starting with that first sip. Because sometimes, big changes don't begin with grand resolutions, but with a tiny moment when you pause, listen, and choose to love yourself a little more. Have you drunk enough water today? Your body doesn't complain or protest. It's just waiting for a sip of awakening. And who knows, from that sip, a vibrant, vital, connected version of you might be stirring right now.